All right, for more on this mega deal, time to welcome in from The Athletic, Pablo Maurer. He's part of the great team over there that has not just broken this story, but given us a lot of the details of the mega deal that's landing Messi in Inter Miami. Pablo, a long overdue welcome to Futbol Americas. How you been?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, so I want to test your memory here. I don't know if you remember, but you and I were at a DC haunt maybe a couple years ago. I'm thinking this might have been summer, spring of 2021. And we were talking about the possibility of Messi to Miami. And we weren't talking about it like a pipe dream. We were talking about some of the machinations that the league could use to get this done. It's all to say that this pursuit has been going on for quite some time. Tell us a little bit about the pursuit, and in your reporting, when that pursuit kind of turned into real hardcore negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously been monitoring this for literally for years. You know what I mean? I think it's a unique situation as a reporter in that the idea that Leo Messi would play in MLS, as strange as it sounds, still to me feels beyond belief. So, when you start getting details a few days ago about, the Apple share, Adidas share, things start trickling out about his pay and stuff like that. I feel like we ended up having to get 6, 7, 8, 9 sources for stuff just because it's, the nature of the story. I mean, it's just such an absurdity that this player would be in this league. That's not me bagging on MLS. It's just, he's the greatest to ever do it, So certainly it was like an insane reporting process. Also, you see a ton of misinformation out there. I mean, the deal still isn't done, the ink isn't dry, et cetera. And, there've been obviously various even high profile journalists that are reporting that it's done and this and the other thing, and it's crazy. The whole thing is insane, Seb.
Pablo, very quickly, that's one of the most impressive backdrops we've had on Futbol Americas, so congrats on that one. That's a slice of American soccer for you right there. I love it. Yeah. Secondly, Seb already mentioned $1.6 billion is what Lionel Messi reportedly is turning down. You've already mentioned look at you. There's the Apple share side of things, so Apple money. There's Adidas money. There's a stake in future ownership. I guess what's the most important or relevant or something just factor in this deal that strikes out to you?
I mean, it has to be the association with Apple. Even though that's a big question mark right now, how fruitful that relationship will be for Messi. Obviously, I'm sure there are tons of people globally who will, tune in, I guess, buy a season pass just to watch Leo play. The Adidas thing, when he has this, long-standing relationship with them, that wasn't entirely unexpected. To me, at the end of the day, it's not. It's a bizarre thing to say. Clearly, it wasn't about the money when this player is still probably going to make $150 million cash, and salary plus whatever these other things paid. Like you said, he has an option to, essentially an option to buy a piece of Miami, a piece of the franchise when he leaves, But at the end of the day, it's going to add up to a lot less than $1.5 billion, which is just like I can't even wrap my head around that. One of the strange things to me is that nobody's, it's like nobody's even asking, like, should anybody get paid $1.5 billion for anything? I mean, it's hard. It's like, it's just been hard to wrap your head around, man. Again.
The money is crazy, right? Go ahead, Herc.
No, I just want to clarify that future stake is Miami.
Yeah. And okay. It is, it's not being given to him in the way that, I think in the build up to this, there was a lot of talk about him being given equity, the team, et cetera. This is almost like a stock option. I mean, he has the option to purchase, X amount of the club at a certain valuation.
Okay.
I'm trying to do the math here, just thinking about it. Like, let's say he gets, this would be really, I think, optimistic. Couple $100 million from Apple, from Adidas, from the ownership stake. They're saying somewhere between 25, 40 million in base salary. You add that up, that's still 700-800 million. And we're not talking about American taxes yet. I mean, that 1.6 billion was going to be no tax, right? So you could say this guy turned down like $1 billion to come to MLS, I think, when you do all the math. It's obviously not just money. There's other things, too. It's lifestyle with Miami. It's also, I think, the coming World Cup, right? 2026. You've got 2024 Copa America. You've got the Argentine Federation with their facility coming here. Like, there's a lot of reasons that this makes sense. Pablo, I want to specifically, though, ask you about the salary here and, like, how this is going to go onto the books? Because there was a time not that long ago, a few years ago, where the max you would hear for an MLS contract was $5-6 million, and kind of everybody was operating under that reality. Then we see Lorenzo Insigne come in and get 14. Now we're talking about 25. At what point does MLS just need to say, if we're going to be giving guys Apple money and Adidas money, what's the point of a salary cap? What's the point of turning to the Colorado Rapids and saying, nah, you can't spend an extra $250K on a left back?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the days are probably numbered of that. On the other hand, it is. I mean, there are people at the league office who would argue that it's what's kept the league alive for so long. You know what I mean? And I think if you really did take the reins off in the way you're suggesting, the parity that the league is always talking about might be a little bit hard to come by. I do think it's interesting, though. I mean, you know, I've been getting blown up on Twitter. I'm sure you guys have been too. There people are saying that, you know, the league is bending the rules for Miami, this and the other thing. They're just not. I mean, he's a designated player. They could pay him $1 billion if they wanted to, and it would be the salary hit would be $600 and some odd change thousand. I mean, it's, you know, if Jorge and Jose Moss and David Beckham want to, you know, give him a king's ransom, they can. You know, now we'll have to see what happens to the rest of the roster, right? I think they might have to get creative there to fill it out. But no, I mean, it is, and you know, one last point, Seb. I think it does, like, look, man, if you're say 10 years from now, you know, 8, 9, 10 years from now, Kylian Mbappe's agent, or, you know, an agent for a player that like approaches Messi's ilk. I don't think we're going to see a generational talent like that in a while. But how are you not asking for Apple shares? How are you not asking for an ownership stake? I mean, I think it does set an interesting precedent for, you know, future super duper high profile stars. So, you know, I'm interested to see how that works out as well.
You know, Barcelona had hoped to sign him, but couldn't really guarantee that they could register him. You know, and I'm thinking back in the day with the Galaxy when Zlatan Ibrahimovic came over here, they had to buy Giovanni Dos Santos. That was like $6.5 million to do so. Will Inter Miami and Major League Soccer have to do anything to make Messi fit into Miami that way?
I don't believe so, man. I mean, again, because they only have 2 DPs right now, Rodolfo Pizarro and Leo Campana. You know, he'll be the third one. And if they want to add, you know, you hear all this chatter about Busquets, Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez is now one you're hearing these days. They could also, you know, they have a one-time buyout they could use on one of the other 2 DPs. They have a rack of allocation money, $1.5 million, I want to say, that they got for Bryce Duke and Ari Lassiter, you know, in April. So, I mean, there are options there. I mean, I think also one thing Miami has going for him is probably Chris Henderson, who's a super capable, well-regarded, you know, backroom person in MLS, and probably has his own ideas of how he wants to build this team. I don't know how much of his stamp has been on some of these rosters, you know, previously. So they have a chance to be very good. I don't know that they will be, you know, but we'll have to see what happens.
All right, now they can get him there. When are we going to see him there? When is he going to debut?
I don't know, man. That's the tough one to nail down, right? I mean, I think the league, you know, sources at the league have told Paul Felipe I that Leagues Cup game on the 21st, that's like the ultimate target for them. And it's no surprise, obviously, MLS has been pushing this league stuff as hard as possible, you know, since the inception of it, essentially. I mean, I think there's definitely some chatter about moving that game from Drive Pink, which is obviously this tiny temporary venue, which is a whole other thing, by the way. The fact that Messi is going to be, it's like my head hurts. Moving that game to, you know, Hard Rock or a larger venue. There's a chance that he could debut earlier, Seb. I mean, I heard, you know, there's chatter around here. I heard at DC United, people are telling me that he might be involved in the All-Star game in some capacity, which is before then. So who knows? I mean, you got to wait and see. I don't know. For all we know, he might be in Miami right now. Felipe and I are going to Miami tomorrow. You know, maybe to try and hunt him down, maybe just to see what's going on, you know, but who knows? Who knows where he is?
July 5th is the opening of Major League Soccer secondary transfer window. I believe Inter Miami's first game after that is here in the nation's capital against DC United. The tickets for that have already soared, even though he's probably not going to play. You point out that game on the 21st. Leagues Cup makes a lot of sense. But I think that All-Star game, if you could get him in the All-Star game, you might get some primetime eyeballs. That would really be a major event there for MLS. Real quick, one last thing here, Pablo, just on the idea of the rebuild in Miami. You seem to have some faith in Chris Henderson and the ability to kind of put this together. if we are talking about a last dance with some of his old Barcelona buddies, Luis Suarez has said it's impossible today, but that's what you always say until there's an offer in front of you. How much time would it take? Are we looking at a 2024 Inter Miami competitive, or do you think they could maybe even be competitive by the end of this year? Because without them being competitive, I think a lot of this impact potentially goes for naught.
I mean, it's MLS, man. You know, they make one or two moves, and every single friggin' team in the conference makes the playoffs as it is. So is it really that insane to think that Miami could win 3 games in a row and, you know, be basically knocking on the door of that play-in game? You know, I think if they have a really aggressive summer window somehow, they could easily, you know, be in contention for something this year. When I say be in contention, I mean for a playoff spot, which again is one of the least valuable pieces of property in MLS because everybody gets one, you know. But I don't know. I mean, the whole thing really is sort of a crapshoot, right? It always has been with MLS. So I don't know. It's entirely possible they could be playing the postseason with Lionel Messi in front of 18,000 people in an industrial park in a temporary stadium. I have no idea.
Pablo, they're 1 game away from an Open Cup final. He could be playing an Open Cup final.
You think Leo wants to tap in on that, on the oldest competition in American soccer history?
There you go.
I mean, he's got to check that box at some point in his career.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.